Imagine for a second that the entire universe, that creation itself, hinges on a perfect, delicate balance. Well, this isn't just a nice thought. It's actually the seventh and final Hermetic principle from the Kybalion. It's called the principle of gender. And what it suggests is a universal law that a fundamental duality exists in absolutely everything, from the tiniest atom all the way up to the grandest galaxy.
Gender is in everything. This is our starting point, and you've got to admit, it's a bold claim. It's saying that these principles, the masculine and the feminine, aren't just about biology. Nope. It's saying they are essential, creative forces woven right into the very fabric of existence on every single plane, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual.
Okay, let's stop right there. Before we go any further, we have to make something absolutely crystal clear. When the Kybalion talks about gender, it is not talking about physical sex or about the modern social and cultural ideas of gender identity that we talk about today. Let's just put these side by side to be super clear. Hermetic gender is this big, esoteric idea about the forces of creation. You've got an active, projective force and a receptive, generative one. Modern gender, on the other hand, is about our deeply personal and social identity. They are two totally different conversations operating in completely different realms. All right, now that we've got that crucial distinction out of the way, we can really start to explore what Hermetic gender truly means when we look past the physical body and into the nature of creation itself. So, what's the whole point of this principle? According to the Hermetic teachings, it has one job and one job only: to create, to produce, and to generate. You can think of it as the very engine of existence. It's not about identity. It's all about the dynamic dance between two forces that, when they come together, bring everything into being. So, let's break this down. What are the two sides of this universal creative coin? What do we actually mean when we say masculine and feminine principles? Think of the masculine principle as the spark. It's the lightning bolt. It's the force that gives, that projects outward, that puts everything into motion. It's that initial impulse, the first seed of an idea, the willful act of saying, let's begin. And if the masculine is the spark, then the feminine principle is the fertile ground. It's the force that receives that initial spark, that nurtures it and gives it a space to grow into a fully formed creation. It doesn't start the process, but without it, absolutely nothing would ever get made. And right here, this is the most crucial point of all. Neither one can create by itself. It's impossible. The active force needs something to act upon, and the receptive force needs an initial jolt of energy to get to work. It's their constant interplay, their cosmic teamwork that generates, well, everything. And once you see this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere in the physical world. I mean, it's right there in the attraction between positive and negative particles that forms an atom. It's in the current that flows between the two poles of a battery. And of course, the most obvious example is in the biology of pretty much every living thing on the planet.
Now, this principle isn't just about the outside world. This is where it gets really fascinating, because the Hermetic teachings say this exact same creative dance is happening right now inside your own mind.
The teachings map these energies directly onto our own consciousness. So, the masculine principle, that's your conscious mind, the objective I that observes, that uses logic, that exerts your will. And the feminine principle, that's your subconscious mind, the subjective me. It's the home of your imagination, your creativity, your new ideas. One is your stable sense of being, while the other is the dynamic engine of your becoming.
And this shows you exactly why balance is so critical. If your mind is dominated by that receptive feminine aspect, you might be a dreamer. Someone who's full of brilliant, incredible ideas, but just never gets around to acting on them. On the flip side, if you're stuck in the active, masculine mind, you could be a worker, super efficient at getting things done, but lacking any original spark or inspiration.
Now, the Kybalion makes a pretty startling point here. It suggests that most people don't really use their own masculine will very often. Instead, their receptive subconscious, their me, is constantly being imprinted, like clay, by the strong projective I of other people, through culture, media, advertising, you name it. This is the very mechanism behind how propaganda works so well.
So that leads us to the most important question of all. How do we take back the reins? How can we consciously use this principle to achieve some mental mastery and actually bring our own ideas to life?
Well, the key is a conscious three-step process. First, you let your feminine aspect,
Your imagination and intuition run wild. Just generate ideas, no judgment. Then you bring in your masculine aspect, your logic and your will, to look at all those ideas, pick the best one, and make a solid plan. And finally, you act on that plan to manifest your creation in the real world.
I love this quote because it just sums up the whole internal dynamic perfectly. The I is your stable, conscious center of will. It's who you are right now. The me is that creative engine, the part that's constantly shaping what you could become. Real mastery is just getting those two parts to work together in harmony. Now, you might be thinking this is a pretty wild concept, but it's not some isolated idea. Let's take a look at how the legacy of this duality has actually echoed through so many different schools of thought all throughout history. Seriously, this idea of balancing two essential creative forces is a timeless theme. It starts way back in ancient Egypt as a core Hermetic law. We see it pop up again in alchemy with their goal of creating the divine androgyny, a symbol of a perfect, unified being. The same pattern shows up in mystical ideas of a divine father and a universal mother in countless traditions. And you can't deny the echo of it even in modern psychology's exploration of our conscious and subconscious minds. And this really is the ultimate takeaway. The goal isn't to deny these forces or to try and ignore the laws of reality. The goal is to understand them, to balance them inside yourself, and to use them consciously. True mastery is the art of mental transmutation. It's about consciously creating your own reality. So we're left with this final thought. This isn't just some abstract, dusty old philosophy. It's presented as a practical tool for your own growth. So it really makes you ask the question, how will you balance the masculine and feminine forces, your will and your imagination, your logic and your intuition, to consciously create the life you actually want to live?